Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of part 7. And I know it's confusing, but basically I done obviously a carb rebuild on an LT50 quad, so this is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, obviously you need to go and see that first so you kind of know where we are. But yeah, basically it was a bit long, the video was getting a bit long, so I decided to split it into 2 parts. So yeah, I'm not gonna bore you with the intro or anything like that. Let's get straight back into the video and yeah, carry on rebuilding this carb. Right then, so basically what we've got is these 2 adjusters. Now basically the first one, which is the flathead screwdriver by here, is what adjusts our idle. So that adjusts obviously the revs when it's sat there with no throttle and it's just idling. So obviously the more you screw that in, what it's actually got, it's got a pin inside here that sticks in, and then what it actually does is it actually hits the side. You can see there's a cutout. There's a bit of a cutout on here with a bit of an angle, and it pushes and it basically lifts this up. So all you're doing basically, the more you screw that, the more it lifts it up, the more air and fuel it allows in, obviously, to raise your idle. So that's quite a simple one. So it's just a matter of setting the idle. And then down by here, this little Phillips one, we've got a cross head screw, so like a Phillips screw, and that is our fuel mixture. So I believe it's the manual says it's 1.5 turns from all the way in. So all we do with that one is wind it all the way in. So I'm just going to measure, so half, and it was about 3/4 of a turn, which is not a lot. So the standard adjustment, so if I go back there and then go half, that's where it was. So the standard is to wind it all the way in and then basically go half, 1, half again. So that should be our standard. That's what, if you read the manual, that's what it says is a standard adjustment. So what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to put, once I've cleaned it all and put it all back together, I'm going to run my quad up and I'm going to adjust this and show you the difference. So obviously, and then how to fine tune it in. So we've set that to standard. Our idle, we don't know until we get the quad running, obviously, how our idle is going to be. So we'll just, what we'll do, we'll put it on the quad, we'll adjust our idle to get our idle right, and then we'll mess about with the mixture until it revs okay. So that's basically it for that. Right, so the next thing we're going to look at now is the fuel jets. So basically we've got a jet in the end of this main inner jet. So there's 2 pieces to this long one that sticks out, and then in this hole by here, if you look down inside, there's a flathead screw. And if I just take, I'll just move that back over there. If I take a little flathead screwdriver, now you need one that will fit inside. Obviously don't wedge your screwdriver in there because you could damage the threads. And basically stick a flathead screwdriver inside and undo. There's a little jet in this hole. You'll see it coming out now next to your main jet. So what we're going to do is take this out. Now all it basically is a little jet. It's got a couple of, oh no, there's no holes in the side, so it's just got a hole down the middle. So what we're going to do is just make sure that's nice and clean, make sure the hole is clean inside, and basically what I like to do is just put it up to the light, and basically as long as you can see a nice circle and obviously light through the jet, that's all you need to see. If not, I'll show you how to clean them in a minute. So we'll just put that on the side. Now the next one is the main jet, so we're just going to take this end out first. So there's a jet in the middle, again just a hole down the center. Again, hold it up to the light, look through it at a window or something so you can actually see through the center. You'll see if there's a bit of dirt in there, but we'll show you how to clean them. And then the last one is an 8mm spanner, and we're just going to undo the center of the main jet. I'm going to get this out, and there we go, and there we go. Now you can see straight away now it's actually in a bit of a state. So we can see here now there's a load of debris and dirt, and it's quite horrible really. So that needs cleaning. Obviously the hole then, if you look through, this is actually when your slider and your needle sticks down through, it actually sticks into here, and then as it opens, it obviously allows fuel to come up through the center. So it's very important that this is all nice and clean, and obviously it's got a good flow of fuel. And also there's a few drill holes around here, so you want to make sure all these drill holes are nice and clean. So yeah, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to clean everything. I'm just going to use brake cleaner. So I got some brake and parts cleaner. You can use carburetor cleaner, but to be honest with you, I find carburetor cleaner just gives off a lot of fumes and kind of gets up your nose, where this stuff isn't as harsh, and it does the same job really. All we're going to do now is obviously the two holes the jets just came out of, and obviously the main supply in. We're just going to give all that a good clean, make sure there's no debris in here, make sure it's all nice and clean, and we'll go ahead now and just give that a good clean out. And that one, as you can see, there's a good bit of pressure behind this, so it's just cleaning out any deposits or anything. And look down inside where the slider goes, you'll see there's loads of dirt. I don't know if you can see that, there's loads of dirt down in the bottom, so we're just going to clean all that out. Go grab a clean rag and take a rag and just clean it all out. Now it's hard to show you, but I like to just blow into these holes just to make sure that there's any debris will kind of go through. You can see here, if you look up, it actually ports through to inside. You'll see where it kind of squirts the fuel in. So I'm just going to give that a good and then I'm going to just squirt in there. So you can see that coming through, and then through the center. Make sure it's all nice and clean. Let that float out the way, and there we have it. So now that's nice and clean. So again, our jets, wipe off any dirt or debris. A bit of this hasn't been cleaned in a long time. Now I like to blow through them just to give them a bit of, just to make sure. And like I said, hold it up to the light then and look down it. Obviously it's impossible for me to show you on camera, but I'm just going to look up. I got a window in here, so I'm just looking up to the window. So yeah, that's nice and clean now. So we've cleaned that. We'll go ahead and reinsert that back inside the carb and give that a nip. I'll go and do the other one then. Again, same again, look up in a window. Now this one does have a very fine hole to it, so it does have a very fine hole. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that one. Now I wanted to show you something. These little fine jets, you can buy proper files to clean inside them, but what I like to do is a little bit of a cheat. So what I like to do is just take a little bit of electrical wire. Now if we just strip off some, and then what I like to do is try just one cord. All you're trying to do is basically shove it through and just basically take any dirt and debris, and there you go. So there's one there, so I'm just going to shove a bit of wire through there, see, just to kind of scrape any sort of debris or dirt or anything that's built up inside there. And I'm just going to give that a bit of a clean, and then one more look in the light, and that's it. And now what you're basically looking for is when you hold it up to the light and you look through it, you're looking for a nice circle hole. Now it's a very, very fine hole, but that's what we're looking for. So that's nice and clean. Now you can get different size jets. Yeah, it says 525, so I'm unsure what that exact measurement is, but obviously you can buy different size jets for different fueling. Like I said, I'm keeping this one standard for now, but I will be heavily modifying this quad once I get all the repairs done, and that'll be future videos. So the next thing I'm going to do now is just tighten that back up, give that a good nip, and then we'll clean the last. I think that's the main jet, and this is the pilot jet, what they call, but they do have different names for them. So again, just going to look up in the light. A very, very fine hole in this one again, so I'll give that a bit of a clean. Grab my bit of wire. Where's my cord? By there. Getting the rest back out the way. So I'm just gonna again give him a bit of a scrape out with this, just to like. Now, believe it or not, that actually made a hell of a difference to this one. So it was a little bit of a blockage. I don't know what difference it would have made, but we'll go ahead now and refit that. And there we go. Now there is a lot of like algae and build up, and you know, it's just old, this thing. So you know, you can go in and you can scrape it all out and mess about, but as long as it's all nice and clean, it doesn't really matter. Like you say, as long as no little chunks are going to flake off and block these jets, you can go ahead and clean all this out if you want. But like you say, there's no loose bits, everything's nice and clean in my opinion, so I'm happy with that. So I'll go ahead. And believe it or not, that's pretty much most of it. So I'm going to go ahead now and put this all back together. So there's nothing really intricate about this. So I'll just go and screw the bowl back on. So it's just a matter now of putting this back on the quad. Obviously we'll set our idle once we get it on there. We'll run it up, warm it up, set our idle, and then once we've done that, we'll go ahead and adjust our mixture. So right, so the next thing we're going to do now is slot the gasket on. So obviously small hole over the choke and the large one where the spring goes. Now the next thing we're going to do is feed the spring onto the cable. Now what we're going to do is we're going to push the spring all the way down, so basically compress it, and then I'm going to hold it with my thumb. So I've got it all the way compressed. Now it does try jumping out, but we're basically holding the gasket and the spring all the way down, leaving the cable dangling. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the slider with the plastic insert, and as you can see, I've got the slider here, and then it's got this plastic insert which is in there, and you can see you've got to line the groove on the plastic insert with the groove in the side of the slider. And then what we're going to do is hook the cable under the slider through that groove, and then hook it inside. And then once we've done that, we can go ahead and release the spring, and then all we're going to do then is make sure that the spring has gone home on top of that plastic. And then what should happen is it should put pressure down on the actual needle. So if I was to hold the slider and push the needle, it's kind of sprung loaded because the spring is putting pressure on it. So that's kind of what we're looking for there. Now we can go ahead and put the carb back on. So what we've actually got is we've got a pin which is on this side inside obviously the bore of the slider, the carb, and the slider has this kind of slice out the side which locates on that pin. So obviously it keeps it in line, because obviously you'll see it's kind of an unusual shape to allow for the air. So what we're going to do is we're going to line that up. Now obviously it's a bit fiddly because you need to line up both holes, and not only that, you need to get this one in. You've obviously got to line that groove up with a pin. So what I've noticed is we're going to turn that groove around until it's facing just to the left of the choke. So you want it about there. That's mine. So I got my cable just to the left of it, and then I can go ahead and put that in there. Put that. Now what you'll notice is you just give it a twist, kind of a twist as you push it, and then locate it. Now make sure your gasket lines up, and we can go ahead and put the screws in. That's tight. That's tight. Now, whenever you put anything together like this, it's always good just to check everything works. So obviously the choke, on and off, and you can, it goes on, it stays on, and then it clicks off nice. And the other thing, we're just going to look through the center, and then I'm going to rev the throttle, and you can see there now, you can see that slider lifting up and down, and obviously lifting the needle up and down, and that's working perfect. So we can go ahead now and I'll move the fuel pipe out the way and relocate the carb. And it's not, doesn't have to be exact this, but you just want it somewhere near level. So you want to look across that carb and you want to see it level. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up. Make sure that your carb is all the way home. It makes life a bit easier. You want a good seal on here. Refit our fuel pipe. Again, pointy pliers, and just push that on. And my fuel tank's loose, but it doesn't matter. And then we can go ahead and refit the airbox. And then once you've done that, there's a little plastic ring that just makes him tight in there. So I'll put that in. And then this is the cover, so obviously there's a drill hole at the bottom, so if any water gets in here, it can just drip out of the hole. So make sure you put that hole at the bottom. Oop, quad nearly fell over then. Right then, so I've started up my runner. Now I did notice the mixture is way off on this because I had issues. Basically, obviously down is choke on and up is choke off. I actually, when I got it started and run it for a while, I found that I was knocking my choke off and then the engine was bogging and cutting out. So there's definitely an issue with my obviously fuel air mixture. Obviously, like I said before, I was 3/4 of a turn out. Sorry about the breath, it's freezing cold in here today. So as you can tell, I've definitely messed up the mixture. So it's definitely going to need setting. So it took a while. It took probably, like they said in the book, 10 minutes. Just to get it up to temperature, like she's nice and hot now, and so that it would run with the choke off. So it's now running with the choke off. Obviously you can't make no adjustments with the choke on. Like I say, keep in mind 3/4 of a turn out was where my mixture screw was, and now it's on, well, a turn and a half is what the book said. So if you find that you keep knocking the choke off and it keeps cutting out, I'd say probably wind your mixture screw in maybe half a turn and then try it just to see if you can get it to run. But like I said, it took 10 minutes before it warmed up enough that it would run with the choke off. So I'm definitely going to need to set it. So first thing I'm going to do is set the idle, because the idle is basically, it's just way too high. It's just revving and revving and spinning the wheels. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to back the idle off now and then give it a blip of throttle every time I make an adjustment. Just to wait for the wheels to stop spinning and have a nice idle. So let's do that first and then we'll have a mess about with the mixture. So obviously I wound that off too much, but yeah, so basically you're winding the screw out to slow it down and then wind it in to speed it up. So I'd say I've gone 1/4 of a turn too far, but I always like to, go off as far as I can till it cuts out and I know where my stop point is. So I'm going to go back in 1/4 of a turn and then we'll try it. And I think that's perfect. So as you can see now, and that's perfect. Like I say, That's perfect. So what I'm going to do now, right, so we've got our idle set. She's not running away or pulling us or whatever, or as soon as you release the brake, taking off from under you. So I've set the idle. So the next thing I'm going to do is set the mixture. Now I can tell straight away there by revving that up, she's real laggy and slow. I'm going to push the camera back a bit more so you can see the wheels better. All I'm basically doing is that Phillips screw head there now, is I'm going to just basically tweak it, and then hopefully I'll try and it's hard with the noise of the quad to explain what I'm doing as I'm doing it, but I'm basically I'm going to go in, I'm not going to come out anymore. I think a turn and a half is like a maximum for me, and I'm basically going to give it a blip of the throttle. I'm going to give it a good rev, listen to the run out, and hopefully you'll be able to, I'm going to probably go not quite quarter of a turn, I'm probably going to go an eighth of a turn of that screw clockwise inwards at a time, and I'm going to listen to the sound, and obviously hopefully you on the camera, you'll be able to see what I'm hear and see what I'm seeing as well, and yeah, hopefully you'll see it improve. So let's have a look. Help me if you turn the start button on. Now we're about a turn out now on the mixture screw, and it sounds a lot better, but I think I'm going to have to just tweak the idle. Now with the mixture screw, as you adjust the mixture, you will find that the idle will go out a little bit, because obviously you're messing with the mixture. So the reason it cut out then is obviously because I needed to knock my idle up a little bit. So just remember, you know, it's a kind of a back and from thing, and you can always, if you remember where you started and you mess it up and you want to start again, just go back to where you started and start again. But I'm just going to have a bit of a tweak around with this, and we'll see how we get on. Now I think that's as good as I'm going to get it. To be honest, I'm about one of my next jobs in this is going to be to pull the engine apart and obviously do piston and rings. So I think she's got a little bit of a backfire. I don't think that's the carb. I think that's piston maybe. The compression is a bit down, so I think one of the next things for me to do now is start pulling this engine apart, and I'm going to recondition the whole engine on this quad. So I think that's definitely going to have to be one of my next videos. So as you can see then, what I actually did then was I was going in with a mixture screw, and it got to that 3/4 part of where I was, obviously where it was set before, and it didn't quite rev out properly. It was kind of, it was picking up nice, but then it wouldn't rev out, and that's what I wanted it to do, to rev out. So what I actually did was I went back to the 1.5 turns, and I've actually gone out a bit more. I'm just going to count where it is so I can give you the final settings. So 1, 2, 3 and a bit. So bit, 1, 2, 3. Obviously the book said to set it at 1.5 turns, and I've gone and set it to that. I assumed that it needed to go obviously in, so, and clockwise, and it turns out it needed to go out a little bit more, and that's got it perfect. So as you can see, what I've noticed is with the mixture screw, the more you screw it in, it gives you is like your bottom end, and the more you screw it out is more your top end. So you've got to find it. If you go too far forward, it was revving nice, it was picking up nice, but it wouldn't rev out. Where when I backed it out then, if you notice, when I went too far, I revved it and it completely bogged down, and it just had it was a struggle to pick up. So it's finding that fine line where it picks up nice, but then it revs out. So that's where you want it. You want to find that sweet spot and put it there. And then obviously as you're adjusting it to and from, you will have to adjust your idle just to kind of keep it ticking over. And then once you get it finally set, you can set your idle perfect then. But it is a bit of a fiddle, I know, but like you say, it's not that difficult. And well, like I said, as long as you measure where your screws are, count where your screws are, screw them in till they stop, count how far they go in, and then you can always kind of redo it from there. So yeah, I hope this video helps you. I have enjoyed doing it. I know it's been a little bit of guesswork and a little bit of this and that, but I hope I've given you a good understanding of how these carbs work and how to set it up. I really appreciate it if you can hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to do a load more videos on this quad, and a little bit of a, I don't know, a surprise. I'm probably going to raffle this quad off when I'm done, so definitely stay tuned, and obviously keep watching, and yeah, I look forward to doing more videos.
And if you get value from this video, hit the like button and subscribe to support this channel.